The wheelchair rattled, a spine-chilling screech, and then thwack. A brutal kick. The chair shot forward, tumbling over the precipice of the cliff face. Her scream was instantly lost to the brutal wind. The shawl on her head fluttered for a moment in the sunlight before vanishing into the jagged abyss below. The son, Marcus, gripped his wife, Celine's, hand tightly. Both trembled, not from fear of the horrific act, but from the exhilaration of finally removing the final barrier between them and the immense family fortune. "Now, the whole Sterling legacy belongs to us," Celine whispered, a dark smile playing on her lips. But neither of them knew that far below, near the valley floor, a humble herdsman tending his small flock had heard the terrifying crash. The return. 3 months later, Dubai glittered under the city lights as Sterling Holdings unveiled its new chief revenue officer, CRO. The banquet hall was packed with international reporters, camera flashes, and eager applause. The curtains slowly rose, and a heavy silence descended upon the room. Standing on the stage, in a gleaming, modern wheelchair, was the mother they had kicked off the cliff, Madame Anya Sterling. Her eyes, clear and unblinking, locked onto her son Marcus's ashen face. She spoke slowly, each word resonating clearly through the powerful speakers. "When you kicked me off that mountain, you didn't know that I was the foundation that carried you all your life. Life lesson: there are mountains we think we've conquered, but in truth, they're the very ones we've just pushed away. Money can make you rich, but only gratitude can keep you from falling into the abyss of your own soul." The crowd was stunned. Amara staggered. Marcus was frozen, his mouth agape. A legacy forged in compassion. Before the Jebel Jais mountain range witnessed that fateful kick of betrayal, there once was a small, loving family. The man, Mr. Victor Sterling, was known throughout Dubai as a symbol of integrity and vision. Beside him stood Madame Anya, a gentle woman whose warm smile inspired every employee at Sterling Holdings. They started with nothing. Back then, Dubai had no glass towers reflecting the desert sun. Victor worked laboriously, while Anya sat beside him, keeping perfect records, balancing ledgers with one hand and cradling their child, Marcus, with the other. A few years later, heart disease tragically took Victor away just as the company was entering its golden age. On his passing day, Anya stood by the coffin and whispered, "Rest peacefully, my love. I will never let what you built become a playground for greed." From that day, she ran the company herself. Even as her health declined and she became wheelchair-bound, she never missed a board meeting. Her only son, Marcus, grew up in luxury and was educated abroad. She dreamed he would return to continue his father's righteous legacy. But when Marcus returned at 28, she noticed the light in his eyes was replaced by cold calculation. "I'll do better than you, mother," he declared, not as a promise, but as a challenge. She smiled, still gentle, "I only hope you remember this company was built on sterling integrity, not merely gold." Time passed. Marcus took the vice president role, driven by ambition. One evening, he excitedly introduced the woman he loved, Celine. Anya's heart warmed, unaware that Celine was not coming to be a daughter-in-law, but to claim a throne. The shadow of greed. Marcus and Celine's wedding was hailed as the wedding of the century. But beneath the dazzling lights, Anya sensed the chill of calculation from Celine. Celine couldn't bear the presence of a disabled mother-in-law. Her voice was sweet, but her words were knives. "Darling, your mother deserves to rest now. We need fresh blood, modern ideas." Marcus, tired of standing in his mother's shadow, agreed. Financial decisions and mysterious money transfers began without Anya's knowledge. She learned Marcus was selling major company shares to a foreign conglomerate. When she confronted him, he dismissed his father's legacy with a cold tone. "Mother, father is gone. His time is over. This is my era. I'll take Sterling Global, and no one, not even you, will stand in my way." The words pierced her heart. Celine whispered to Marcus, "It's time, my love. Let her rest forever." The plan began with feigned affection. Mother, we want to take you on a mountain retreat in Jebel Jais. You need peace and fresh air. The betrayal on Jebel Jais. That morning, a sleek black SUV rolled out of Dubai. In the back seat, Anya held her worn-out Bible, smiling as they ascended the mountain. They wheeled her toward the cliff's edge, where one wrong push meant an endless fall. I want to take one last photo of you, Marcus said, setting up his camera. Celine stepped closer, whispering, now or never. Marcus's hands tightened on the wheelchair. A breath, a tremor, a push. Wham! A swift, merciless kick. The sound of the metal crashing echoed like a funeral drum. Marcus and Celine left, hand in hand, certain they were free. But far below, the herdsman, Mr. Tarek, found a shattered wheelchair and Anya's barely breathing body. Her shawl had snagged on a sturdy branch, a miracle of fate. He carried her to his small hut. 3 months after the accident, Marcus and Celine, praised as the golden couple, were shocked by the curtain rising at the Sterling holding ceremony. The entire world watched as Madame Anya, alive and radiant with purpose, returned not for revenge, but for justice. She had gathered irrefutable evidence of forgery, embezzlement, and attempted murder. As the police approached Marcus and Celine, she spoke to her son, tears now streaming down her scarred cheeks. You could kick me off a mountain, my son, but you can never kill the truth. Strength does not mean stepping on the one who gave you life. Success is never born from kicking away the hand that raised you. Sparkles the ultimate victory. At the subsequent trial, Marcus was sentenced to 25 years and Celine to 20 years in prison. Anya addressed the court, I do not wish to see them destroyed. I only wish they learn what I once believed, no one grows wealthy by killing the person who taught them to live with integrity. Sterling Holdings was immediately reborn as the Sterling Foundation, dedicated to supporting the disabled, orphans, and single mothers across the region. Anya devoted 70% of the company's revenue to social causes. She became known as the Iron Angel of Dubai. She visited Marcus in prison. He fell to his knees, weeping. Mother, I don't deserve to see your face. She placed her frail hand against the glass barrier. You do, my son, because you finally learned to kneel. I forgive you, David. Now, you must forgive yourself. In the prison courtyard, Marcus began teaching inmates to read and write, a small act of kindness leading to his redemption. Madame Anya, seated in her wheelchair in the Sterling Foundation office, looked at the busy streets below, children in new uniforms, the elderly receiving aid. She whispered. Wealth is not how much you have. It's how much compassion you have left. There are people who were once pushed into the abyss, yet it was down there that they discovered their wings. Seeds of Compassion, 1 year later. A year had passed since the dramatic unveiling at the Dubai Convention Hall. The image of Madame Anya Sterling, serene in her wheelchair, commanding the attention of the city, had not faded. The Sterling Foundation was now a beacon of compassionate capitalism. Inside the Foundation's towering headquarters, a new spirit thrived. Anya's office, once a symbol of corporate might, now felt more like a sanctuary. On her desk, alongside the framed photo of her late husband, Victor, sat a worn, hand-drawn card, a thank you from a young Emirati woman the foundation had helped start a catering business. The foundation's success isn't measured in revenue, Mr. Tarek, Anya often told the former herdsman, Mr. Tarek, whom she had brought in as her chief operations officer. It's measured in lives rebuilt. Tarek, the man who had found her on Jebel Jais, had proven to be a soul of unwavering integrity, a true reflection of the original Sterling values. The true accounting. The foundation's primary focus was the Wheel of Hope initiative, providing custom-fitted wheelchairs and vocational training for those with disabilities across the UAE. They were no longer just giving money, they were giving dignity. One afternoon, a major international donor, a stern, impeccably dressed man named Mr. Almas from a competing conglomerate, came to audit the foundation's books. He expected to find inefficiency, the typical pitfall of emotion-driven charity. Anya met him not in the boardroom, but in the foundation's newly built vocational center, filled with the cheerful sound of carpentry tools and laughter. Mr. Almas, adjusting his tie, pointed to the detailed ledger. "Madam Sterling, your overhead for training facilities is generous. Your profit margin is significantly lower than when Sterling Holdings operated under your son's management." Anya simply smiled, gesturing to a young man proudly sanding a wooden chair. He had been paralyzed in a construction accident and was now a master craftsman. "The numbers on the balance sheet only tell a small part of the story, Mr. Almas," she said, her voice soft but firm. "My son managed a company that made millions, but it had a negative moral balance. We make less profit now, but our true assets are these people, their skill, their joy, their faith. We are rich where it truly counts." Mr. Almas stood silent, watching the young man work. He looked from the genuine happiness on the craftsman's face to the scarred, yet radiant, face of Anya. He slowly closed his ledger. "Madam Sterling," he conceded, bowing slightly, "the only audit needed here is one of the soul. You have taught Dubai what true wealth looks like." He left that day, not as an auditor, but as a major donor. A mother's prayer. Despite her public strength, Anya still carried the deep, quiet ache of her son. She visited Marcus regularly at the correctional facility. During one visit, Marcus was visibly thinner but his eyes held a new, honest light. He had been assigned to the prison library, helping other inmates earn their high school diplomas. "Mother, one of the men asked me why I do this," Marcus told her through the glass. "I told him that once, I thought power was about pushing others down. Now I know it's about lifting them up, even if the only one I can lift is myself, one small step at a time." He then showed her a tiny, potted succulent he was nurturing, a gift from a fellow inmate. "It reminds me of the flower father used to plant in your office. I'm learning to care for something again." Anya watched her son. The darkness was receding. The years of greed had been replaced by the humble desire for redemption. She reached for the phone. "Marcus, your father and I named you to be strong. The only thing I have ever wanted for you is to find your way back to the light. I am proud of the man you are becoming, not the man you were." That day, as Anya left the facility, she didn't feel the weight of sorrow. She felt the quiet, profound relief of a mother whose prayer had been answered, not with a pardon, but with the beginning of a true change of heart. The sun set over the iconic Dubai skyline, its golden rays catching the glass of the Sterling Foundation Tower. The light that once held the reflection of greed now reflected the image of a mother's unbreakable love, showing that even from the greatest fall, one can rise with the greatest grace. While Marcus found a slow path toward redemption through service and humility in the men's correctional facility, Celine's experience in the women's prison was drastically different. Celine, the former beauty queen accustomed to the spotlight and luxury, found herself utterly isolated. Her fall was arguably steeper than Marcus's. She hadn't just lost wealth, she had lost the adoration that was her lifeblood. The initial shock of imprisonment gave way to bitter resentment. She was surrounded by women who saw her not as a tragic victim, but as the architect of her own downfall, and worse, as a woman who had tried to blame her husband, Marcus, during the trial. Snake the weight of blame. Celine refused to acknowledge her own fault. She blamed Marcus for his weakness, Madame Anya for her survival, and the world for the loss of her glamour. She spent her days in the sterile prison laundry room, silently folding clothes, her once manicured hands raw and chafed. She had no interest in the rehabilitation programs, viewing them as beneath her. One day, one of the older inmates, a quiet woman named Farida who had served 10 years for fraud and had found peace through faith, observed Celine's unrelenting bitterness. "You carry a heavy stone, child," Farida said gently one afternoon, without looking up from her work. Celine snapped, "You know nothing of my life. That woman, that monster, she took everything." Farida sighed. "No, she didn't take it. You gave it away. You gave away your kindness, your conscience, and your freedom for an illusion of power. That old woman simply held up a mirror so everyone could see the cost. Celine felt a sudden, sharp sting of truth, but she immediately suppressed it, slamming a basket of damp clothes down in frustration. She remained cold, distant, and trapped by her own refusal to accept responsibility. Broken heart, the final severance. Madame Anya, maintaining her commitment to justice tempered by compassion, extended an offer to Celine similar to the one given to Marcus, the opportunity to receive counseling and enroll in educational programs, funded by the Sterling Foundation, with the possibility of a reduced sentence if genuine reform was evident. Anya even requested a visitation, hoping to reach the young woman who had almost become her daughter-in-law. The meeting was brief and devastating. When Celine was brought into the room, she looked at Anya, not with fear or regret, but with pure, distilled hatred. "You came to gloat." Celine spat across the glass. Anya, gentle as ever, simply said, "Celine, I came to offer you a way out of the darkness you chose. Not a way out of prison, but a way out of the anger that binds your soul." "My soul is fine," Celine hissed. "You are the one who should be locked away, you and your hypocrisy. You destroyed our lives to feel like a martyr." Anya closed her eyes briefly. She knew she had done everything she could. Celine's rejection was total and final, a self-imposed prison far stronger than the concrete walls. "I wish you peace, Celine," Anya said quietly, standing to leave. "Peace is never coming for you, old woman," Celine sneered as the guard led her away. Anya walked out, the air heavy with sorrow. She realized that while Marcus had lost his way but found his heart, Celine had lost her humanity entirely. A lesson in compassion. Back at the foundation, Anya looked out over the thriving city of Dubai. She understood that compassion could open the door, but redemption had to be walked alone. She could forgive, but she could not force the transformation. Celine remained in prison, serving her time in isolation. She eventually accepted a job in the prison library, the same place where Marcus was excelling, but she did so out of boredom and necessity, not reform. She carried the weight of her unforgiveness, a silent testament that true freedom is not the absence of bars, but the absence of bitterness. The ultimate lesson of the Sterling family's tragedy echoed across the city: justice is served when the law is upheld, true grace is served when the heart chooses forgiveness, even when the recipient refuses it.